Welcome to Retirement Rescue Radio, a show specifically designed to help retirees and pre-retirees maximize their financial efficiency so you can live the retirement lifestyle you've always imagined. Your host is Nate Miller, investment advisor representative and author of the CPR Retirement Rescue Roadmap. Nate discusses thoughts and ideas from some of today's most knowledgeable professionals in the field of finance. He offers strategies along the way to help you make better financial decisions so you can maximize your retirement. This is Retirement Rescue Radio.
All right, welcome to another episode of Retirement Rescue Radio, and we've got another installment of Redneck Radio going on here. Josh, welcome.
How's everybody doing?
All right, so this last weekend, I had some training in Florida, and I got to meet, or I didn't get to meet Shaq, but I got to listen to Shaq talk, and that's a lot of fun. That guy is like sneaky funny, because he's so low key in his voice pattern that you just don't expect it. But he's witty, very witty, and pretty much controlled the conversation. We had a guy that was trying to interview him, and there were a few times where he's like, "Nah, forget about that question. I'm gonna keep talking about this thing over here." So, yeah. I guess he pretty much let a 7'2", 300-pound guy just go wherever he wants to go with the conversation.
I think I'd probably do that too.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, today I think we're going to do another episode of, Ask Nate, and so to get your answers to your questions answered, on air, just email to asknate@retirementrescueradio.com. And you might find yourself featured here. So I guess with that being said, Josh, well, first off, what was your weekend like? Did you get to meet anybody like Shaq?
No, I didn't.
No.
I lost my phone in the middle of a pasture, and then I found it, but that's about it.
So you went hunting? You went hunting for your phone?
Yes, I went hunting for my phone. So luckily I found it. It was a success.
Good deal.
So, all right, let's jump into this here. All right. Oh, Harry says, I'm single and about to retire with a pension that's much larger than what I'll need for my income. However, I don't have very much saved in my retirement accounts because I've known for years that my pension will be large. Do I need to invest some of my pension income to build a nest egg for later in life, or am I okay as long as I have that income for life? Good question.
Yeah, definitely. So I love this question, Harry, because you're recognizing the fact that, even though your pension might be enough for you to live on right now, and it sounds like actually it's a little more because you said you're asking about investing some of that. And so you realize that your biggest risk later on in life that you guys face now is the increased cost of living that you might have. We call it inflation in simple terms. So you might need some extra money. So yeah, you should save some of that pension income. Great question. It shows maturity. It shows an attitude of, I'm not just going to spend everything I make. Because, I might get, a check next month. So let's just spend it. So I love the idea of investing some of your pension to build a nest egg for later in life. And that'll actually do a couple things for you. It's going to build up a fund where you won't have to borrow money if you want to buy a car or maybe buy a condom or something. Condo, excuse me. We might have to edit that out. Oops. Buy a condo. You got to be very careful with that word. Apparently we're going to have a little E next to our podcast if I start going down that route too far. Condo, or something, and or shoot, maybe take an extra trip that you wouldn't have to have. You wouldn't have to slap it on a credit card then. And then use your future pension to bail it out. And that works really well. And the other reason I like it is, your ability to maybe in the future, you've got this big pot of money. So maybe 10, 15 years from now, you create another pension, right? So like I said, we got inflation that would be happening. So you create a personal pension that might be spinning off an extra $500 or $1,000, maybe even a couple $1,000s a month, and you give yourself a raise in the future. So that can be another great thing that it does. But honestly, the real foundation to answering this question is getting a retirement income analysis that shows exactly what you need coming in or what you want coming in. And if the money that you have is going to, last for the rest of your life, or it'll tell you how much you need to save as well. So you can kind of target that amount that you can save out of your current income from your pension, current cash flow there. So yeah, love that question. Shows a good deal of financial maturity. Good job.
All right. Okay, next one. Brad says, I've been asking a lot of questions about my losses in my IRA over the last year. my broker keeps saying that he's not concerned about it because he expects everything to come back up soon. But I'm 60 years old and not sure he understands my sense of urgency. Is he right? Should I just chill out?
Well, this is a good question, and there's a couple things behind this question. So one is if you have the right asset allocation, and what I mean by asset allocation is you've got the right mix between stocks, bonds, maybe annuities, maybe CDs, maybe cash, right? So if you got the right mix, then yeah, you should probably just chill out, right? Now I'm answering this on an analytical level right now. We'll get to the emotional here in a second. But on an analytical level, you should probably relax a little bit, because if you have that right mix, then you and you should be expected, like, it shouldn't be a surprise, that the markets are doing what they do. One of my pet peeves would be if the brokers are acting surprised that the market's doing whatever it's doing, because they shouldn't be unless they're really immature brokers. So he may be right? But let's get to the emotional part here for a second. The emotional part would be, the question I would ask is, why are you doubting? Or why are you questioning whether or not you're in the right place? So that says to me that either you don't have an asset allocation plan, or he hasn't set one up for you yet, or he just simply hasn't communicated it in a way that's giving you peace of mind. So I would just question whether or not he is the right person for you, just because either, number one, he hasn't set up the right type of plan, or if he has, you don't have the confidence, or he hasn't communicated it clearly so that it is the right type of plan. So Brad, that's a good question. I wouldn't fire your broker just yet. I would, find out if this is more of a communication problem or if it's an investment problem. It's going to be one of those two.
All right, good stuff. All right, next one. Harriet says, I'm a federal employee.
She's a financial advisor. No.
Yes, I'm a financial advisor, and I'm going to ask you some questions here.
All right, that's fine. I'll welcome those too.
Yeah, I mean, we all financial advisors learn from each other, so exactly. That's good. At least I hope they learn. Anyway, Harriet says, I'm a federal employee. I'll have a nice pension when I retire next year, but I'm wondering about the money in my TSP. Should I keep it invested there, or should I move it somewhere else?
Okay, so great question. And for those of you that don't know, TSP is basically the federal government's version of a 401k plan, right? That's really the best way to describe it. I mean, technically it is a little something different, but that's a good way to describe it. It has the same tax treatment really as a 401k, and you would roll it over to an IRA. So, people put money in there just as they put it in a 401k, they can get a match. And she's asking, should she roll that money over? Maybe, maybe not, right? So number one, I would ask, do you want to manage the money yourself? If you want to manage it yourself, then heck, you might want to leave it where it's at. Or you can roll it to a self-directed IRA so you can have more control over it. But if you do want someone else to manage that for you, like a wealth manager, then you'll probably want to roll that money over so you've got more flexibility and control of it. And, be a little careful when you roll that money over, though, to an IRA. Yeah, it's a tax-free transaction, but you do have to look at some of the fees that you might be paying versus, outside of it versus what you're paying inside, and that's important. Of course, you might pay a little bit more for getting that advice, but most of us are willing to pay for something that we feel like we're getting value from it. That's the big key. If you feel like you're getting value from it. So that's another area you'd have to look at. I would say also, if anybody out there is charitably inclined and has a TSP, and if you know what a qualified charitable deduction is, you cannot do a QCD from a TSP. So sorry for the acronyms there. Qualified charitable deduction is a QCD. That's where you can actually get a deduction without having to itemize when it comes out of your IRA. So that is it. You would have to roll it over to an IRA to get that extra tax deduction. And so I will also say the vast majority of people that we work with will roll it out of the TSP into an IRA for nothing else, just for more flexibility and control of what to invest it in. So yeah, great question. I don't know if that completely answers it, but if, answers your question, but I would say, get a financial plan, have someone go through and work out a risk management plan, financial, income plan, tax plan, work it all together. And then they can answer that question for you a little bit better.
That's right. There's a little bit of a difference between investments and investment planning and financial planning for retirement and retirement planning. There's investments in retirement, but investments are not all of retirement. There's a whole lot of stuff that kind of goes with retirement planning, not just investments.
Yep. Everything kind of affects everything else too. So it's all got to be flying in that V,
That's right. That's right. So there's a lot of value that a good advisor can give you, even if you're managing your own investments.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, all right. Al says, I've managed my money. Speaking of the devil right here.
Hey, I'm talking about managing your own investments. All right, there we go.
Yeah. Al says, I've been managing my money myself over the years and have to say I've done a pretty good job of it, which most people do. A lot of them that we talk to do. Mm-hmm. Everybody tells me that I should have a financial advisor now that I'm about to retire, but I'm having trouble with the concept of turning it over to someone else since I've proven that I can do it. What's your argument for why I should have someone else manage it?
All right. Let's see. Well, I can tell right away that since you didn't talk about emotions at all in your little thing there, the fear of letting your emotions get the best of you probably means you're going to need some help. You didn't mention anything about that. And most of the people that overestimate their ability to ride out the market during difficult times are smart people. It's like we've got clients that are brilliant, educated at the right schools. Maybe they're engineers or actuaries, right? It's like those are the ones that are going to get in trouble because they have this overdeveloped sense of self-confidence, right? They got all kinds of information. They're very educated, very smart people. Things have been going well for a very long time. Now, the problem is they've got a lot of money saved up and they don't know what it's going to feel like when the market goes down 20, 30, 40%, right? There's plenty of stories about, smart people having money, maybe taking over someone's estate or something like that. Smart people. Emotions can get the best of them and their portfolio gets cut in half, and not because they were doing anything foolish with it either. So I would say be careful about managing your own money because most people can't do it. Wealthy people have financial advisors. Some people may be able to, but I would be very, very cautious about it. And also, we run into the spousal question, right? You didn't say this in your email, but if you are married, how does your spouse feel about you self-managing everything? Like maybe now when you got all your faculties, everything's great, but if something happens to you, would she have any interest at all of doing that? And what if you don't pass away? What if you become, incapacitated? Would she know what to do with it? And it's actually because of that reason. And that actually has a name, a risk in retirement, right? The incapacitation risk. But because of that reason, I've actually had a lot of people that have managed their own that then now during retirement, they've decided to turn their money over to us to manage because they recognize that issue. They're like, you know what, if I passed away and my wife is going to go, use Nate as the financial advisor in Miller Retirement Group, well, I probably should go ahead and do that right now. That's kind of the thought process, right? And maybe here's even another idea. Maybe you interview a few advisors, go with the one that you feel comfortable with. And if things don't work out, take your money back. It's like you're not locked into the relationship. It's like you can move your money wherever you want to go. And so maybe you try it on a trial basis or something. So that could be another way of looking at it. So great question, though.
All right. Well, that was it for today. So short and sweet. And I guess if they wanted to ask you any questions again, where do they go, Nate?
Ask Nate at retirementrescueradio.com. And you can ask me a few more questions about Shaq. He's a funny guy. See, he talked about how on TV it's not really I'm going to say a joke or it's not an act. He really does hate Charles Barkley. It's not an act. They do not get along.
That right there is information that will change your life.
That'll make your retirement a lot more fulfilling. So
you'll sleep better tonight for that.
So yep, any questions, go to Ask Nate at retirementrescueradio.com. I think there's going to be a link to our calendar as well. If you do have some pressing issues you want to find out the answer to sooner rather than later, gets 15 minutes on the horn with us. Click on that link, get some time on our calendar. And if we need to go deeper, we can just to help you out because we're trying to empower you to live the retirement you deserve. So that's it, guys. Have a great week.
All right. Take care, guys.